We'll open the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for the City of Davenport on Tuesday, June 13th. Can I have a call of order, please?
Franken?
Here.
Miranda?
Here.
Powers?
Here.
Hastetti?
Here.
Kretz is excused, and McGivern.
Here. And we have the Secretary's report. I need the consideration of the May 9th, 2023 minutes of the meeting.
I move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the May 19th or the May 9th, 2023 minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Well, item number 3, communications. Matthew?
Yeah, I've got a few for us. First one being our party in the park. So first one's this Thursday at Lafayette Park. I think Karen and Diane said that they would be interested in attending that. So if you want, you can just stop and see me after the meeting. We can kind of give you some details on that. So we'll have a tent, or a table, and we'll run it together with the library and hopefully kind of get some information out there to the public. And then the second date scheduled for August 10th. I know, Michael, you said that you were interested in that one.
Yeah.
So just feel free to email me if you're interested in attending. So it's just a nice opportunity to get out there. Other item is the Heart of Downtown Davenport Architectural Styles and Stories. So we're redoing the walking tour from last year. So we have 4 different dates scheduled. So I created this flyer for us to pass out at Party in the Park. So they're free to the public. They'll run about an hour and a half. Meeting, they start at the main library, and the historian will take you around a few different blocks and point out some of Davenport's neat architecture. So 4 different opportunities. So yeah, feel free to encourage family and friends.
Just one question. I'm not so concerned about August through October, but the July. Will the library be open again by then?
We believe so. Initially, there was a June date that we canceled and then added that October one on the back end to supplement that. But we'll keep everyone informed.
Okay. Is there an alternate place to start if the library is not open?
We'll coordinate that if needed.
All right.
Thank you.
And then last one, I just got an email yesterday on a training opportunity. So the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions is having a webinar. So it's titled Best Practices, a Practitioner's Guide to an Effective Local Preservation Commission. This will be June 29th from noon to 1:30. I'll send out an email, so please respond if you're interested. The city will pay for your registration fee.
Thank you. That takes us to item number 4, old business. Seeing none, that'll take us to item number 5, new business. Case number COA 23-21, request to install a new flat roof at 1208 Main Street. The J. Monroe Parker Fick House is a locally designated historic landmark and located within the College Square Historic District. R3 Roofing and Exteriors petitioner on behalf of Delta 100 Alumni Council. Staff?
All right, so this home should look familiar. The J. Monroe Parker Fick House was locally designated in 2003 in the College Square Historic District, which is a national district. However, this is a local landmark. Built in 1881 in a Second Empire architectural style. So this home has a mansard roof with a flat portion on top. So it's located at the corner of Main Street and 12th. The project scope for this application is to remove and replace the flat roofing system. So the slate mansard roof is outside of the scope of this project and will remain in its current condition. The contractor will install a new TPO roofing system with ISO boards, which is an industry standard roofing membrane and insulation for flat roof buildings. They'll install new chimney flashing where appropriate. And then there is ornamental fencing along the perimeter of the mansard roof. So that'll be taken off and then reinstalled when work's completed. And then they'll install drains and inspect downspouts as part of that project. So they provide some neat aerial images of the building, just kind of outlining the several different tiers of this structure. The porch roofs are also included in the scope of work, so that will get a new flat roof system. So here's just a couple other aerial shots. This kind of details some of that ornamental fencing material, some of the gutter and drainage system on top. You got your view from the street looking up. So with that, staff is making a recommendation to approve the certificate of appropriateness. Project was reviewed for conformance with our historic preservation ordinance and meets the standards that every reasonable effort should be made to make minimum number of changes to keep the property in a good state of repair, and that deteriorated features should be repaired where possible, where replaced, using a material that's consistent with the existing.
Thank you, Matt. Is there any, does the petitioner have anything for the commission?
Just here to answer any questions you
All
might
right.
have.
Does the commission have any questions for the petitioner or for staff?
For staff, it's just a clarification. It is not on the national registry, correct? But it's a Davenport landmark and it's in the National Historic District.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from commission? I need a recommendation.
I move to go ahead and approve the certificate of appropriateness in line with the submitted material.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Miranda,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Pastetti,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken.
All right, that will take us to item number 6, other business, review of the commission bylaws. Staff?
All right, so in front of you is a draft revision of bylaws. This is a complete rewrite that Laura and I worked on. We took inspiration from the City of Dubuque's Historic Preservation Commission and got some ideas on how theirs was outlined and retooled the City of Davenport's. So it's not a strike-through version, it's a clean copy for you to review. In light of current circumstances, we still are waiting for the legal department to review. So we'll get their comments as well and provide that for our July meeting. We also asked that the commission provide comments on what they would like to see, any revisions that they think might be helpful. You could also email us outside of the meeting and we can incorporate that into the July packet. Are there any questions for me?
Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, I have a number throughout the document, but I don't know how pertinent they are. Just tell me, quiet.
Sure.
All right. First one, section 1, membership. In the original, we have a set of 9 members. Well, we obviously don't have 9 members. I guess 7 is our current number. Do we deliberately not put a number in here?
Yes, so it was kind of our choice. That number is set by ordinance, so we reference the ordinance number on what that is referenced. So if that ordinance happens to change, which is, I think is what happened last time, the ordinance changed and the bylaws didn't get updated, this will take care of that. There's no need to update the bylaws to reflect that new number.
And who has control over the ordinance?
The city council.
The city council does
Yes.
that, okay. And they will establish then the number of people that are on this.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Moving on, this is section 1, election and term of office. I'm at the top of the second page, election of chairperson and vice chairperson shall be by a roll call vote. I understand that. I was new on the board when we had this year's election, and it was just kind of, whoa, what's happening, sort of thing. And I think all of us were kind of caught a bit off, well, maybe not those who have been on for a while, but I was really caught off guard, and like, who am I voting for and why, sort of thing. Is it appropriate in this document to give a process by which we elect members, or is it best to leave it sort of vague?
I think it could be appropriate, but we would want some assistance on what that outline should look like from the commission. We haven't seen examples of any kind of more detail than that in any of the bylaws that we researched. So it would be something that would be custom made for this commission.
Okay, because it seems as though a nomination process would be a reasonable thing to have here, so people could say this, and then how we go forward. I have no problem with the roll call vote, great, but just how we get to the point where we do have a vote would have been helpful for me as a new person. And then this is under Article 5 meetings, Section 2 special meetings. So in Section 1 we say it's the second Tuesday of every month, etc. In this one, special meetings shall be held at the time and location as determined by the chairperson or 3 requesting members of the commission. Does this mean that they do not necessarily have to be on Tuesdays?
Correct. Yeah, it could be any day of the week. Generally, we try to make sure that this room specifically is available if possible. And then we also try to make sure we have a quorum. So it would be the request of 3 commissioners to hold a meeting, and then we would work through making sure that we could get a quorum for that and have the appropriate space. But it does not have to be here. We can do it elsewhere.
Okay, so there again, I guess I'm just wondering, because this is rather broad, it's just determined by the chairperson or the 3 members. There's no particular process by which people say, okay, we're going to have a meeting at this time. It just happens.
Right, it would be at the request of the, either the chair or the 3 commissioners on when they want to, and then we would consult with the rest of the commission to make sure we would be able to get a quorum
And post the agenda.
and post it, and make sure we have enough time to do our legal process for posting agendas and things like that.
So a special meeting might come into play. So for demolition, the commission, I believe, has 60 days to vote on a demolition application. If for some reason the 60-day period ends between our regular monthly meetings, we might do a special meeting to get within that 60-day window.
Okay. And staff would know about that, but then do you inform the chairperson and that person then calls it?
Yeah, generally we would try to, so say there was if for Matt's instance, if there was a demolition and you don't have what you need, we would have that discussion with the petitioner as part of the meeting or directly after, and then communicate the special meeting as part of that. So really in those kinds of instances, when there's a table, it's the whole commission asking for a special meeting at that point, almost. I don't think we would need any special directive in that case. We would go back, make sure we're still within our window of time, and if not, we would reach out and say, hey, we need to have a special meeting on that.
Okay. And I guess then a similar process is involved with the work sessions as far as establishing when they will happen. This is the next section, so, okay, all right. Under Section 5, quorum, the presence of a majority of the official members shall constitute a quorum. So we formally have 7 people, which would mean 4.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
But when we're down 1,
It's still 4 for quorum.
okay. Okay, all right. I guess because I was looking at the original ones versus these back and forth. Under voting, all commissioners, including the chairperson, are required to cast a vote upon each motion. And then I believe we do have the option of voting present, is that right?
Right, and that basically would count as a no vote.
Okay.
one thing that we did change under voting is, so section 6, voting C,
Yes.
is meeting attendance. So we basically made that the expectations to be physically present at the meeting in order to exercise your vote. Remote voting is only authorized by the chairperson if given notification.
Okay. Is there quite a bit of discussion, Bob, between you and staff before these meetings?
So it'll be usually a Monday or a Tuesday. So like this morning, around 10:30, we talked for about 5 minutes about the agenda, depending on a request from a commissioner that they'll get. They may ask, we're going to communicate back and give some kind of feedback. We want you to know about it. Or legal has a question. But that's rare. I mean, it's really rare. But just kind of more for my sake is make sure I understand the agenda and make sure that this meeting runs smooth.
Okay.
But
So
really,
there's been we've updated, so this is our last commission that we have control over, or I shouldn't say control, we are staff to, for their bylaws, and they've all handled it in different ways. Zoning Board of Adjustment, because they're quasi judicial, it's really important for them to be there, so it is the expectation that you're present. They do have discretion by chair to do participation, but they're only a board of 5, and they have special rules that if there's only 3, the petitioner has the right to request tabling. So the instance of virtual participation would be to ensure quorum more than anything. So if you have quorum and it's not necessary in order to hold the meeting, it's that chair's perspective that generally he'd prefer people be present, because it's hard. I know a lot of you have participated in these meetings virtually. It's hard you don't get to read the room. You can't see the applicant. So it does definitely change the meetings considerably. P&Z, so Plan and Zone Commission, similar. It would be something that the chair would give permission to. And I don't think he's exercised that since we've,
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he's exercised that since the change in the bylaws.
and actually the only decision I can think of in the last couple of weeks or months really actually was today, and that was Christopher had a child conflict and wanted to know if he could dial in, and our bylaws are so up in the air. Christine was out sick and didn't have the capacity, so I made the call of, since we already had a quorum, it was a moot issue, that he would have the ability to call in and participate but not vote. And that was the option, because got to treat everybody the same, and these will be taken care of in 35, 40 days. So that's about the only thing I've ever had to do in the last couple of months, really.
Okay. Further questions? This is section 7, conflict of interest. So this is a what if. Some years ago, the German American Heritage Center came before the commission when that building was redone in 2000. Brand new wood windows were placed in it, and for a variety of reasons, those windows did not last. I mean, they were brand new, but anyway, they didn't last. And so the request was made by the Heritage Center Board to replace them with wood windows, but they are clad, right? So they'll last longer, basically what it was. And I don't know what kind of discussion went on. I don't know if anybody here was on the commission at that time when it came up. But I would imagine, anyway, I work closely with the Heritage Center on other things, but if I'm on this commission, would I have to recuse myself because of my relationship to that building?
So if, and this is for everybody, so I'll keep it generalized. If you feel like there might be an instance of there's conflict, you can alert us to that, and we can have that discussion with legal, and they will give you some guidance on that. So we'll defer to what legal's opinion might be on if it's necessary to recuse or not, and then we'll work with you on that.
Oh, and again, I guess I'm curious about that in relation to quorum. So if for whatever reason we're down a person or two, and then I show up and say, well, guess what? I better not be talking about these things with you folks. Does that,
So what,
especially given the timeliness of some repairs that need to be done?
so I believe it's written in the bylaws, and I can correct me if I'm wrong, that it's just the majority of those present to pass by an item. The quorum is the majority of the overall number of people present. So in an item, so if you had to recuse yourself, abstain from an item, and it would change well, it'd still be 3, actually, because there's 5 of you right now, so it would still require 3 people to vote in favor.
Yep.
And if there were more than one item on the agenda, and this happened with an item that Diane wrote for a grant, she announced that she would be abstaining before discussion, and just sat in the seats here, and then went back up after that item was over.
One last item.
Sure.
This is so petty, so little. I'm old. This is under Article 7, Amendment of Bylaws. A vote of not less than 5 members approving said amendment shall be required. In the old days, when we have count versus non-count, it would be fewer. A vote of not less than fewer than 5 members. Has the language changed now that less is kind of the standard that's used legalese?
I mean, that's what we've seen, but I can double check and see
Okay.
if they want clarification on
I
that.
would suggest fewer as
Okay.
opposed to less.
No fewer
Yeah,
than.
just no fewer than, yeah. Minor thing, but grammar. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Anyone else from commission? So the commission's clear then. Any kind of suggestions, recommendations, forward on to staff? Will you then summarize all of those and provide back before the next packet comes out?
Yes, so I think if you can get your comments to us, I think there was a deadline in the agenda so that we can consult with legal and then draft something up. We can summarize. If there's conflicting information, we won't write it into the bylaws, but we'll put it up for discussion so we can talk more about it.
And then what is our goal then for approval, timeline-wise?
So I guess it depends on what the feedback is. So.
So we're not going to have any kind of expectations for approval next meeting, because that would be rushing it. But maybe the meeting after, with August, September timeframe?
Yeah, we'll keep
can-
going until you're happy with it.
Mhm,
So
absolutely.
if you need more time, then we'll take more time.
Okay.
So if you need to tweak it. That's totally acceptable.
Okay, as long as there's no expectations that next time, then I think, so there's no surprise or feel rushed. I don't want anyone to feel rushed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think one of the things we talked about last time, going back to elections. So the way bylaws are written, it's the first regular meeting of the calendar year. I know that's something that we talked about.
Right.
Appointments and terms start in June.
Yeah, let us know. I know we
So if you.
kind of went back and forth on it last time. As long as it's not too close to when people get appointed, I think it's up to you on how you want to have it. I wouldn't do it at your July meeting when people are being appointed and that would be their first meeting. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. But so the August or something after that, I think would be appropriate.
Okay. All right. That brings us to open forum for comment, and there is no public, so that takes us to adjournment. Do I have a recommendation?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. We are adjourned.